Hi, Patrick and team. I'm Praveen. I'm with Thunk.AI. I put this short video together to just do a demo of a particular scenario that Patrick had shared with me about automating some of the uh, issues that arise that get reported when equipment malfunctions in one of your restaurants. And for that, we're using the Thunk.AI platform to use AI to automate the processing of these issues. Let me start with a few slides just as background framing so that the terminology makes sense. Our platform's called Thunk.AI, and it's an application platform. You use it to build applications that use AI to run workflows. And we call those things Thunks. That's just our name for it. And it's a horizontal platform. You can build a wide variety of different workflows for different kinds of problems. In this case, we're going to use it for the problem you have to process these equipment malfunction issues. It's important to understand the sort of process of creating these applications. It's not a software development process. Instead, there's some human designer who uses natural language English to describe the workflow they want. And that gets built on this platform. It took me about half an hour of some trial and error to put it together. And I could build this, you could build this, and you can change it. And then that's quite different from using a programmer to do this, right? Because it's a business user, it's no code, and it's an application that then will be intelligent in how it runs. Um, and then it runs itself on our platform. So you don't have to go take this and deploy it somewhere. Instead, it gets connected up to inputs. In this case, it might be email or somebody just sending or filling out a form who says, here's a problem I have, with maybe a photograph of the equipment that's having trouble. And that gets processed following the workflow on our platform that can execute this workflow, process that information, and then produce results. So that's the framing of that's just the platform we have. And now I'll show you one example. Um, Here we're looking at our Thunk.ai platform. And I built out this one particular Thunk application to process equipment service tickets. Now, any one of these applications always has the important part of it is it's got a process. Let me move this camera icon out of the way so you don't have to look at that. Um, In comes a service ticket. It's got some parameters, a ticket ID, maybe an asset ID, a date it's reported by, maybe a photograph, an issue description. And then we're going to go look up asset information about, that maybe it's a microwave that malfunctioned, look up manufacturer information, assess warranty coverage, find troubleshooting tips, and summarize and propose actions. That's the flow that I set up. How did I come up with this? I was sort of guided by what Patrick told me. So I just sort of generated some fake data just to make this a little realistic. Um, I generated a spreadsheet of a bunch of assets from the restaurant industry, power fryer, convection oven, etc., located at different restaurants, different manufacturers, date of purchase, warranty duration, some information about the warranty. All right, so that's sort of the asset database, if you wish. It has about 50 items. In practice, you may have 5,000 or 10,000, some larger number of them. Also had a little spreadsheet of manufacturers. For each of them, an asset type, a service phone number, a discount code maybe, and a service manual. And each of these service manuals is an actual document. So let's just go look at one of these. It's a document that I had spit out with information about BTU rating, etc., troubleshooting matrix, and so on. So a sort of support document. And there's a support document for each of these. And I also generated some sample service tickets. So, for example, this service ticket says that store manager sent a photo of some ice machine and says making a loud grinding noise and no ice is being produced. And there's an asset tag. And so the idea is that this asset tag, you have to look up the asset database, find the manufacturer, look up the manufacturer information, and so on. So that's the setup. Now, in terms of the logic itself, some all of the logic is described in English. So it says for the service ticket, use the assets ID to search the asset spreadsheet or database, get all the following information. Then look up the manufacturer information, ensure name matches exactly, and so on. Then we say, all right, assess the warranty coverage. using the date of purchase and so on, determine if it's under warranty, and then tell me, what defects are covered exactly, and if information is insufficient, flag for manual review. Then go look at product documentation to do troubleshooting tips, and then put it all together into a proposal. That's the flow. And I fed it some data, including those 10 tickets that are generated. And I also can submit some data through email. Let's go look at one of these. Then I'll submit a couple of emails so you see it running live. And then we'll come back and look at what those did. So let's just look at one of them. Here was a service ticket, some asset ID, and it's for some refrigerator, I guess. So the gasket on the walk-in door is torn and leaking cold air. So this particular ticket has been orchestrated through the different steps of the workflow. So there's the first step. It was run by AI. There's a whole lot of detail underneath of how the platform used, in this case, GPT 4.1, to take those instructions provided. This was the instruction for that first step, and execute it, check that it's right, and produce these results. So what it's figured out is that asset number corresponds to this asset type, Qdoba 45 is a location, and so on. In fact, you can always look at the details of the AI fingerprint that actually produced this data. For everything AI does, there's always that information. We looked at the manufacturer information. So far, so good. We got that info. Then it did assessment of warranty coverage. It said, yes, the warranty is valid. It covers a compressor for 36 months from this period to this period. So it's still within warranty. However, the reported issue is a torn gasket, but the warranty details specify compressor only. So it's probably not covered, etc. It found a bunch of troubleshooting tips from the service manual and put it together in a detailed summary. So here, this is the summary of the information, right? And then here are the proposed actions. Replace it promptly, review the warranty terms. Here's the phone number, use that discount code, etc. So, and it can put that together. In this case, it didn't send it to somebody, but it could send it back to the person automatically. That's the flow for one of these tickets. And that entire thing took about 70 seconds and cost about under 9 cents of AI token time to do. What I'm going to do now is tell you about how these tickets come into the system. Of course, you can upload them manually, but you can actually connect them to email, because every one of these thunks has an email address, and you can just forward email to it. You can also submit from a form, etc. So here I submitted one thing through email, and I'm going to submit a couple more now that you can look at. So here I have one entry. I'm sending it to the email address of my thunk. It just says one of the beer draft lines seems to be blocked, and here's the asset number. Typed it in, gonna hit send. Here's another one. So here I say back burner doesn't light, that's the problem, but I've not provided an asset number. Instead, I provide this image. Where is that image? Char broiler image. Let me bring it up so you can see it. It's just a photo. It's got the asset number on it. Right, so I'm just submitting an image, and so you can imagine somebody from a phone can just submit that to this email address, sent. So I've sent these two tickets, and the first one has made its way in already, and it's being processed, and it's entered an entry. So we'll see that it's entered this entry. Here is the service ticket, the blocked beer draft line. It's provided an asset tag. It's actively working on producing the information. You're watching it in real time, fetching the information by the manufacturer. It's done with that step, looking up the manufacturer's information. It's going to fill in this information and proceed. And while it does that, we can go back and look at, here's the second one, or maybe the second one's still coming in. Wait for that. Second one's still coming in. It'll come in, it'll work. It'll pick up stuff from the image and do its thing. Yeah, here it is. In fact, the back burner does not light. Let's look at that. Here was the service ticket, included this image. From the image, it's actually struggled to extract the asset ID, so we might have to go tweak that and change that to make sure it extracts the asset ID right, and then do the work correctly. So let's just go look briefly at a couple of the other examples where perhaps let's go look for something where it wasn't under warranty. So maybe look at that, T1005. Here's the service ticket, asset information, manufacturer information, great. But the warranty coverage was, it was only for 24 months, and the expiry date was by May of 2025. Therefore, it's expired. The issue would have been covered, it says, but it's too late. They can't do that, and therefore, effectively, when you get to the summary and proposed actions, it basically says contact the manufacturer, consider scheduling a service visit, evaluate repair cost versus replacement, and we can probably add extra information on that as need be, and then produces a result. Hope that explains it. Thank you very much, and of course, happy to clarify and explain further.